Let's talk politics right now with Punchbowl News founder. Joining us is Jake Sherman. Hey, Jake, let's talk about, I think, what a lot of people are trying to figure out, and that's how the Republican race is going to really firm up the race for president, who's going to get the nomination. We'd been looking for a long time at Donald Trump kind of pulling ahead in the polls, and now you've got the money that's come out from every one of these campaigns. I think a lot of people were surprised by what they saw with DeSantis, with him having to lay off some of the members of his campaign, realizing that he took in $20 million, but he can't use about $3 million of that, and that he's going to have to find new donors because a lot of his donors have maxed out at this point. It looks like that campaign is taking a real kind of retooling at this point. He's going to be doing things a little bit differently. How do you think that this kind of impacts things? Because those two are far and away the leaders when it comes to who might be winning in an election if you were to have it right now.
Becky, let's start with the basics, which is Trump is ahead by a massive amount in every poll. And we could say that we don't like polls, or we could say they're not a great representation of how the election will turn out. That's an argument for another time. Trump is far and away in the lead, period. That's number one. Number two, DeSantis did raise a lot of money, 20-something million dollars. But I will say this, he's having trouble with small dollar donors, which could augur problems for him in the future. If you don't raise from small dollar donors, that's not going to power a campaign. But I would say this, in addition to all of that, these candidates are all going to have ample money because the money that they raise, which is hard dollars that candidates spend, is only one sliver of the story, in that super PACs, which could raise and spend unlimited amounts of money, are the only name in the game. And we saw yesterday, Tim Scott put his super PAC, not him, put $40 million on TV, the largest buy so far of this cycle, which just serves to highlight the fact that there is unlimited money that will back a candidate. But I just still think at this point, and based on the people I talked to, the reaction to the legal news that Trump had yesterday, Republicans, especially elected Republicans, are not backing off of him at all. And he is by far the leader in this race.
When do things kind of firm up and finalize? When is it too late to make a move? How far off are we from that?
Now, if you're not in the race now, you're not raising money, and especially raising your name ID if you're a lesser known candidate, you're probably a little bit too late. I mean, we have January, February, the two big early state contests for the GOP. That's where it really starts to firm up, and someone like a DeSantis or a Tim Scott would need to really have an impressive showing. But to be honest with you, if you're not in the race right now, you're not raising your name ID, you're not raising money, you're not getting donors. Remember, there's a lot of money in politics, Becky, but donors get locked up pretty quickly. They make investments just like people make investments in markets, and they put their money where they think they could win, in super PACs and in hard dollars. And people are doing that already. So if there's some dream out there that there's going to be some dark horse candidate that will get in the race and shake things up, they got to do it now or in the next couple of months. If you're polling at 2% right now, do you have a chance? No, of course not. If you are polling at 2% and Donald Trump is polling at 54%, that's probably a difficult hill to overcome, to make up 50-something points in a poll. But listen, if Donald Trump has 4 indictments, 2 federal indictments, a state indictment, a case in New York, there's an argument to be made that there could be some sort of massive blow up that shakes up the race. I just don't see it. And listen, you're showing this graphic, which is so instructive at this point. With all of these candidates in, Donald Trump is happy. He's welcoming people to the race because he understands that with all these people in the race, they're going to split up the anti-Trump vote, and he's going to consolidate his support. He has a pretty high floor and low ceiling, and that's good for him. So what happens next? Do you see any of those characters fall out, or are we going to watch the same thing where through the debates you have 10 Republicans on stage? Well, there are guidelines, right? There are some benchmarks that you need to make to get into the debates. I can't imagine somebody like Will Hurd or Asa Hutchinson, who's or Francis Suarez of Miami, he said yesterday he's raised thousands of dollars. That's unfortunately maybe would cut it for a race for city council, perhaps, but maybe not even that. Those people are going to probably, I can't even imagine, maybe they make it to Iowa, maybe they don't, but you need to be able to raise money to have a message out there, to get on TV. And I think a lot of those folks drop out either right before Iowa or when Iowa comes. Jake, there's a lot of speculation on the Democrats' side, too. What are the odds
you think that is this a done deal for Biden to be the nominee, or is there a chance he drops out at some point?
I mean, who knows? I don't think he's going to drop out. I think the White House says on repeat that he's going to be in the race. He's going to be the nominee. He's by far the highest poll getter, the highest vote getter at this point, if you listen to polls, and I would imagine they're right. He's the sitting Democratic incumbent president who has a big legislative record that Democrats want to run on. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., obviously a fringe candidate. But listen, I get asked a lot, Becky, about these third-party candidates. What if Joe Manchin and John Huntsman get in the race? Remember, third-party candidates have incredible hurdles with ballot access. We see this time and time again. Very difficult to get on the ballot. Joe Manchin is a senator from a state that he could win. It will be difficult, but he could win. I don't think he'd want to get in a race, knowing Manchin like I do, a race that he would lose. He says he doesn't get in races he could lose. So I think Joe Biden's going to run, and I think all signs at this point, based on what we know, he's going to be the nominee.